I like FDM 3D printing. It's easy, it's fast, it's reliable. I also said multiple times that I hate SLA printing because it is just messy and complicated. But then I was asked to review the newest generation of SLA 3D printers, and this was the worst and best machine I've ever tested. So, in my professional background, I have to work with SLA a lot because SLA is really well suited for example, dental applications and medical 3D printing because of its biocompatible resins and because of the details you can get out of one of those machines. So this is the perfect segue into the machine we are reviewing today, the HeyGears Reflex 2 and Reflex 2 Pro. HeyGears famously comes from dental 3D printing, and they made a name for them with their precision and automation they can do. Quick disclaimer, this machine was provided by 3dstore.ch and they actually gave me a Reflex 2 to test. No strings attached. This is not a sponsored review in the original kind of sense. It was given to me to find the good, the bad and the ugly. So I am completely free in what I tell you, and I will tell you some cons and some pros. There is stuff that is absolutely genius, and then there is stuff where you just ask yourself, why? The machine itself is, and you can feel it, it is focused on automation and reliability. So the success rate of my prints is about 95%, and I printed a lot. I tested this machine personally for about 3 months in my setup, but also I interviewed the employees of 3dstore.ch because they also provide manufacturing services, and they tested all those machines for well over 1 year. First of all, the elephant in this room, this little thing, it's called a pulse release model. I can tell you about like print size, axis, the VAT or the mixer here or anything, but you can see that in most 3D printers nowadays in this price bracket. What sets this one apart from everything else is this pulse release model. So how that works is that actually this is a little compressor. It produces pressure and vacuum in between 2 layers in the print bed. What it can do is it can provide vibration in the print bed that you use in bottom-up SLA and reduce the force needed to peel your bed off, because those beds are the same as in Formlabs, for example, just a little PTFE foil that you print on. It is an DLP machine, even though I said SLA. SLA is the technology, DLP in that case, with like a huge resolution in the screen. So very fine details, we will come to that later. But what this little guy does, it reduces the peel force when the layer is finished printing. And it has to go up, it of course has to peel off the foil. And this normally takes a lot of force and pressure, which famously rips your part off your support structure. So that is why you have such beefy support structure whenever you print bottom-up SLA. So in that case, because we can micro vibrate, we can go very, very thin with our support structure. And I think this is the biggest advancement this machine did. When you look at parts quite close that I had support structure on, you can see that there is basically no mark left. You can just peel them off very, very easily. You can use your hands, you don't need a knife or anything, and you can just simply like crush them and pull them out. Support removal was always the biggest hassle of SLA. I hate it. I actually have a supersonic knife just to get them off clean, but still I break stuff out of the surface, or I have to put in so much force that I break my part. And apart from print quality and everything, which we will come to later, this is the biggest advancement they could do. It was the one of 2 things that was always a downside for me for SLA printing. Because in FDM we have different materials that just peel off easily, for example, but in SLA they were famously hard to post-process. Of course, when we talk about SLA 3D printing, there is always one thing that sets it apart from any other 3D printing technology, and this is print quality and surface quality. And I have to say, holy shit. The print quality, especially of side surfaces of this machine, are basically injection molded. I promise you, these parts were not post-processed whatsoever. And this one, for example, for me, even as an experienced 3D printing geek, looks like injection molded. Like, look at this part. It looks like somebody took an injection molded part and glued support structure on. So print quality wise, optically, it's ridiculously good. I never saw print quality like that out of any machine. The clear material is just a game changer. This one is already got a little bit cloudy, but you can see my finger through it, and if you put a little bit of oil or clear coat on the surface, it gets glass-like see-through. I heard that HeyGears is working on a new ultra clear material and a way of post-processing this, but that's maybe for another video. Surface quality is good. What we really want in engineering is accuracy. So quality in detail, for example, on this one, you can see the little fine details, or maybe even a better comparison is this little figurine. I printed it in this size just to show it to you. Like, it's free hanging and everything. And I printed this one way smaller, about a third of the size, and I did some imaging on microscope. And as you can see, even zoomed in, the surface quality and this layer stacking is just immaculate. I'm baffled by the precision of this machine, and also the contact points of the support itself are around 0.2 millimeters only. That's why they break so easily. But of course, these are organic shapes. 3D printers excel in printing organic shapes, but what about engineering parts? So those parts I printed for Ruben. You might know him from my other videos, for one of his projects, and they needed to have very small holes that go all the way through this part, the whole length. And I tried to print it on multiple different SLA machines and I failed. None of it could produce the precision. I took those parts into the microscope as well, and here you can see the results. They look super clean and the accuracy is actually below 0.1 millimeter. I don't know what I should tell you. This machine just excels in quality and precision. Great. So I wanted to test the limits of those. So I printed this little plate with spikes on them to see how small can it go. And as you can see here, the minimum detail on the very tip is about 0.2 millimeters size. But if you look onto this image, the pixels that it prints are actually way smaller. So I'm not really sure why I couldn't print that small. Maybe it can't light up only one of those pixels in this area or whatever. Or I just damaged it by handling it because I broke off a lot of those little spikes because they got so thin at the end. This could just be me, but I'm quite impressed by the resolution it can produce. Normally, parts like those endoscope parts can only be done by using a micro SLA 3D printer. And those micro SLA 3D printers are expensive. I have access to a microfabrication printer and to a nano printer, but a part like that would run you about 300 bucks. A part in that resin here runs you about $1. So if your goal is highest print quality available, this machine is the way to go. I can't put it differently. Another big thing, at least for me when I buy a machine, is reliability. I like technology. I like the technology of 3D printing. I'm interested in it. But if I want a part, I want a part. I don't want to handle the technology. I don't want to tinker. I just want to press print and I want to have my part every time. And this is where HeyGears actually came up with quite a good software suite. So everything is fully automated. There is something called a one-click slice. And one-click slice is great because it orients your part, it supports your part, it even fills your plate for you and you can directly print. So it's fire and forget. And I personally love that. Another thing I really appreciate is the cartridge system. So you have those cartridges, so you don't have to get in contact with the resin. You don't need to manually fill. You simply have those self-closing cartridges. They have like a little ball valve in there. You put them in the machine and the machine will fill itself. This is a feature I really like, and also a feature that annoyed me the most because there is such an idiotic design choice in exactly this cartridge system, which I will tell you about later. Another design feature I really like is this. This is a mixing arm. I mean, that's not something new. A lot of people or a lot of companies have them now because it just gives you a better and more stable printing process. But this one is actually heated. So while other manufacturers heat the whole chamber and bring heat into the resin that way, this one actually heats this mixer and just mixes your resin till it has the required temperature. So why do you put temperature in a resin? To get it to a better viscosity. This helps a lot. which I also like is that they put sensors inside of it. So if you have any foreign object in your vat and it hits it, it will detect it, and it can detect very small little leftover parts automatically and will stop your printing process before you damage your vat. So much for the machine itself. I think I don't have to get into all the little knickknacks like it has a touch screen, it has Wi-Fi connection, you don't necessarily need a cloud and stuff like that. That's just normal SLA stuff. You can watch another channel for that. We are not about that. So let's move on to the post-processing ecosystem, because they actually provide everything that you need to post-process. And this is where my hatred for SLA comes in, because it is a messy process. You have contact with resin, you have contact with IPA alcohol, you have contact with UV light and stuff like that, and all those little support structures going everywhere. I don't like it. So they actually made a quite decent job of giving you a full post-processing workflow. Their curing station is actually a little bit more than just the curing station. I really like it. It has a clean design, it fits everywhere. You can watch your part and you can choose your profiles. So these also are able to connect directly to your software. That means when you printed something, your curing oven will already know what material is coming next and do all the dialing in for themselves. Of course, you can also load profiles onto it. It also has a bake feature, which I really like. So this curing oven is unfair. You can't say it differently. While others provide you with a tank with a few LEDs, UV LEDs, this one actually is more of an annealing oven than just the curing oven. So you can also use it to dry your filament because it's actively aired. It can reach temperatures up to 120 degrees and it can set timers for hours if you like. So you can use it to anneal FDM prints, to anneal also SLA and bake them. You can harden stuff in it, so it's a great multi-tool. That thing in of itself might be already worth an investment even if you don't go for SLA printing. So absolutely love it. It's also clean and very compact. And then there is the washing station. When I first got this washing station, I was baffled because it somehow looks unprofessional on top of this weird little platform, and I was not sure what they wanted to do. Normally you have a container with IPA, then in the middle you have some kind of propeller that just mixes your IPA and like floods the part around with IPA, so stuff moves around. This thing is actually doing salsa. What this is actually an oscillating washer. I looked into why they did that because I am used to those like propeller machines. Of course, it is mechanically easier because this is just a piece of plastic. It doesn't need a magnetic propeller. You don't have any axis going into it that could leak over time or whatever. So I thought that might just be the design choice why they went for it. I actually looked into literature and turns out this way of washing your part is way better for cleaning because the shear stresses of the liquid to the part are way higher. So with this form of washing, you can basically deep clean your parts very easy. I was actually able to feel that. Normally, if I take parts out of, for example, the Formlabs Form Wash, they are kind of sticky, even with fresh IPA. So I have to do 2 cycles or 3 cycles to clean them. With them, after one, I touched it without gloves and it was just dry to the touch. And one thing I really appreciate about these machines is on the top side of those. You can see we have like a little ball valve here and a little air gap. So what you can do, you will get 2 of those containers in the set. So if you are finished with washing your part, you have an empty container and then you can just place them on top of each other. You open up the air vent and then over here you have a little valve. So what you can do is you can drain the IPA completely of your part before you ever open it. So you can actually just let it go and let it sit in there. So the last IPA just evaporates out of it and then you can open it and can get your dry part out. And I also use it the other way around. I put my dirty part in there before I put IPA in there and then I close it and I do it the other way around. I fill it with the other container. So I think this is very clever. It basically keeps you from this way around. So it basically keeps you from ever touching IPA. Till you have to get rid of it. But that's another story. But this design decision I really liked. No contact to the toxic stuff. Even with the form wash station, for example, you always have those little flimsy lids that close your IPA tank, and it doesn't really help against the evaporation. On this one, you actually have legit full rubber seals around it. So these ones are actually completely airtight. So I can even like put them the other way around. Oh, whew. I thought I left it open. It was weird at the beginning that this is like an oscillator and it's quite noisy, but I came to love it actually because the cleaning cycles are super fast. Like within 2 minutes, the parts are clean and you never have contact to IPA. Before we now go to the downsides and the bad parts of this machine, one little last thing I want to say. I mean, this is obviously a very professional setup of a machine and a post-processing station, and it is quite affordable, I have to say. A machine like that, not in the Pro version, the Reflex 2, costs you about 1,800 bucks. So I think still very affordable, even for like home users or semi-professionals, or just to print some minifigurines for your next D&D campaign. So I think it's very reasonably priced. But when something is reasonably priced, then they will normally just screw you on the resin pricing, right? Those little 1 liter cartridges. When I saw them, I was like, oh my God, it's another Formlabs. The machine is quite affordable. I mean, quite. But then the resin will like 400 to 500 bucks and you can't use anything else because it's and whatnot. No, not at all. Those containers sell for 30 to 70 bucks. Depending on the material you want to go for. But like those standard modeling resins that you will use 90% of the time, including their ultra clear, are like $40 for a liter. So it's super cheap to run these machines. And this surprised me because when somebody is like coming out of the industrial 3D printing and going into consumer 3D printing, then I'm normally surprised if they don't try to sell you some kind of subscription model to anything. Now let's move on to the weird stuff. The most ridiculous design choices you've ever seen on a machine like that, because most of that is basic knowledge. I mean, come on, HeyGears. You have experience under your belt out of industrial 3D printing. So first of all, as you can see up here, we have this huge build plate. I like it. It has like a lever and it has on both sides. You can just slide it out, put it back in. Like it's super secure and it even has an auto leveling feature. Great. But what I don't understand why you would ever do that is why did you put a flat plate that is so thin in a resin printer? Because what happens to me quite a lot is just like you see it here, the resin just pools up on top. They give you this little plastic scraper that is about that long, and while you will try to clean the top of your plate, you will always get your hands dirty. So wear gloves. So you don't get contact to IPA, but you get a lot of contact to the resin itself. I don't get it. You put a cartridge system to minimize contact to resin and then do something like that. Also, which I haven't seen a long time in like mid-grade level SLA printer, is just a plate with holes. Just a plate with holes. So the parts are on there. They really stick well to the printer, which is good for print reliability. What is not good to get them off. So you actually have to have a very sharp scraper, which has a whole nother problem because you will cut and injure yourself quite a lot. And one thing I will never do with this machine again is print parts directly on the print plate, because those ones were on there. I tried everything. I tried to get in between with a knife. I tried to sharpen my scraper. I couldn't get them off. At the end, I took a hammer to it. Otherwise, I would have not gotten it off anymore. So on these machines, I would really recommend to always print with a raft, because those are flexible when they're freshly printed and you can get them off. But printing a part directly on the plate, not on this machine. Then another thing is, if you look closely to those parts, you can see this is an owl without a head, and this is actually a queen for a chess game I'm building. And the head is also very squished in. So why is that? It was not a print fail per se, it was because my resin ran out. So they built in a cartridge system. They did not build in a resin level sensor. The Pro machine has the resin level sensor. The not Pro machine doesn't have it. I mean, come on, that's not a Pro feature. That's minimum requirement. Like most machines now that you don't have to fill by hands and that cost like 600 bucks only, have a resin level sensor. So I actually ran out of material because I was printing overnight. No, that's not something that a machine in this price point should do. Earlier, I praised the software because it's super automated and everything, but also it is at the same time super badly designed because there's just some design decisions I don't get at all. Why should I orient, support and slice a file if I don't want to print it? So when you slice the file and you want to send it to print, you have to go into another submenu, sliced files, and there you will find your file to send it to the printer. And I think it's just an unnecessary extra step. I get it that it's good for companies, for example, where they have a technician that slices and then they have operators that use the machine and they want to send them separately, but make it optional. If I have a one-click prepare, then I also should be able to just send it right away from wherever I am. I also talked about the post-processing, that all of them can be connected to the software, to the slicing software as well, which is great, don't get me wrong, but I don't like it if my machines tell me what to do. On the washing machine, I mean, I praised it for its innovation in that field. It's different than all the others, but if you look at the machine and then you look over here, do you realize something? This is one of the dumbest design decisions I've ever saw in any machine, period. Those machines are meant for this printer. You can buy them together with the printer as a set, but you can't get a full-sized part into that washing container. If you really use your printer on the full size, you're just out of luck. You can't wash them. So when I had my issues with the plate being so dirty because it's flat on the top and I wanted to clean it off, my first idea was just to drop it in here. Like the rest that I needed, because if you handle it, you will get all the handles dirty and stuff like that. So I just wanted to stick it in and wash my whole build plate. Impossible. It does not fit in any way or form. I mean, everybody got that right. Even Formlabs did it. You can even put your part on the build plate and it will wash the build plate and your part. And here I can't even put a full-size part in this. This is absolutely blowing my mind. I never saw a design fail like that. Why don't you do the container bigger? I mean, you even have a big platform. Why don't you go to this size and just build a bigger container? Or at least give me the option to buy it. If you put a flat resin print bed in it, why don't you give me the possibility to drain it? Even cheap China printers are able to just take the plate out, hang it on an angle and it will drain. If I try that here, I will get resin all over the place. My guess is just that they brought two kinds of engineers together to build that machine. People that use 3D printing and SLA printing every day, and people who have never seen a 3D printer in their life. And they together worked on this machine. Other than that, I can't explain it. I really love this machine and I really fucking hate this machine. So I'm looking forward to the parts I get. I'm not looking forward to the process I get. All that being said, quality-wise, I am more than just impressed and I actually will keep that printer. I never thought that I would add a SLA printer to my private collection at home. I'm not talking about our studio. I'm not talking about our work. I'm talking at home. I added it to my private workshop. So my final verdict is I've never tested a machine that was simultaneously so thoughtfully engineered and so unthoughtfully engineered than this one. So if you buy it or not, I leave that up to you. Have fun printing. See you.